Welcome to Clause 8, the #1 podcast on intellectual property, trusted by top in-house counsel, judges, and policymakers worldwide. Hosted by Eli Mazur, we bring you in-depth conversations with the personality shaping IP. Brought to you by TradeSpace, where ideas take flight.
Obviously, as I mentioned, the next administration undid some of the things you guys did at the PTAB, but the other, I guess, the through line of the last administration, and I think actually Cook Morgan Stewart wrote an article about it before it, is that there was an attempt to seize IP rights because patent rights were being blamed for cost of pharmaceuticals and so forth. So there were calls to and proposals to exercise marching rights for the first time under the Bayh-Dole Act. I guess, what is your perspective on that? Why was that taking place, and I guess how did all that play out? Because I guess at the end of the day, they never got to that point where they never did seize.
I can't even start to express how upset I was about that. And I know that people in that administration, were upset as well that the Bayh-Dole Act was, in our view, being misused to seize patent rights for an economic reason, not for other bona fide reasons that the Bayh-Dole Act had contemplated. The Bayh-Dole Act contemplated marching rights for things like state emergencies, like, for example, COVID. If you needed to march in and make sure that COVID shots could get out there and the producers wouldn't be sued, that would be an appropriate use, or during war, or during shortages, or something like that. This was the first time it was an attack on pricing. And interestingly enough, I was reading an article by Joe Allen. He was the staffer that helped create the Bayh-Dole Act, and he said there actually was a provision in there for the government to get a payback or get some monetary rights out of any revenue that was generated from the licensing of technology out of universities, and they expressly rejected that. They expressly rejected this idea that monetary considerations by the government were an appropriate excuse to march in on. And I think that the last administration proposed that NIST administer these new march-in rights. And actually, to my knowledge, I think they have not been rescinded. I don't know that they have been enacted and that they are in place and rolling. As a matter of fact, I think they are not. But they haven't actually been rescinded yet. And then that's a little bit of a, meat cleaver hanging over everybody's head right now is, would they actually, go to the dark side and start implementing march-in rights for pricing reasons?